Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
It all started on a cloudy summer day. I was 17 at the time and just got my paycheck. I worked at a golf course, so I was averaging about $300 to $400 a week with tips. It was beyond good living for me. I was driving around town by myself. I approached an estate sale on the side of the road. I figured I might as well stop in and see if I could find anything. Upon walking in, I could smell incense burning. There were fresh cookies on the table near the door. 10 or more people were scattered in view. I was greeted by a very attractive female, probably about college age. 10 out of 10. "Hi there," she said in a higher tone. "Hello?" I responded with. We conversed for a little bit. She told me the house was her father's up until his death. He was in his 50s, worked in the industry all his life, and suffered from depression. I started to walk around the house, room to room. Every room was open except for the basement. It was locked, had a layer of insulating plastic over it, and a sign saying to stay out, all freshly applied. The stuff on sale was pretty basic shit. Things you'd expect from a divorced guy at his age. Sports memorabilia, products relating to alcohol, car parts, etc. He even had a pristine Chevelle in the garage. On top of these products, everything in his house was for sale. I mean everything. Silverware to toilet paper, you name it. It was for sale. I found a few small things, until I found what really drew me in, the mirror. I found a large Victorian mirror pinned behind some paintings. It was dusty, the paint was peeling. It, needless to say, was a big hunk of shit, but I loved it. The frame was white, and the mirror was pretty acceptable minus a decent-sized scratch in one of the corners. What drew it to me to this day is still beyond me. I tugged it out behind the paintings as careful as I could. I paid $20 for it, and the other things I picked out. I drove home to my parents. I'm a single child. I got mixed reviews from them on the mirror. My dad hated it, but told me he'd still help me put it up. My mom, on the other hand, loved it. She told me she'd be willing to help restore it, which I denied. After I cleaned it up, I'd love it just the way it was. I left it on my floor in my room until I managed to clean it up. My cat Mama decided to pay me a visit. She was a black cat too. She was always a curious and adventurous cat. Mama sniffed the frame and jumped. She ran out of my room. Little did I know that this would be the start of weird shit going on with this mirror. The next day I came home from school, but not before going out and getting some dust spray. I went into my room and cleaned it off. I loved it. I called my dad downstairs. I lived in my basement, and he helped me hang it in my room. He left and I pulled out my phone. I wanted to show my friends what I picked out. I went to take a picture, and to my surprise, the face focus started going off. It didn't go on me, but rather it alternated between different spots on the mirror. There were probably 3 main focal points. I didn't think much of this until later on. A couple days later, I decided to invite one of my friends over to just hang. Let's call him John. I wasn't ever into any hardcore drugs or anything past weed for that matter, but John was. He wasn't some delusional junkie. He just liked getting away from reality every once in a while. The past week, John had been out of town with his family, so he was sober. He complimented how cool my mirror looked. I thanked him, and we sparked up a few minutes later. We decided to play some vidya. I'm pretty sure this was around the time Battlefield 3 was released. John needed to piss, so he asked if I could have us leave the party, in which I did. Before I could barely put down my controller, he startled me and let out a fearful noise, something I could never expect from him. "You see that, man? What the fuck?" John cowardly pointed at the mirror. "No." I responded back clueless. "You don't see that? The face. You're seeing shit, man, I don't see it." I didn't understand. I know he's done some hard drugs before, but what could cause him to do this? I didn't see anything. He went to the bathroom and was on edge for the rest of the hour he was there. That night I slept a little uneasy. People would come into my room and comment on my mirror. Nothing strange like this happened. The worst I heard was from my girlfriend, who told me it just looked old and creepy. Not much happened in the next few months. I turned 18, grew out my facial hair a little bit, and made it through my last set of finals. I graduated that summer. I wasn't going to college, so I was allowed to stay at home until I found a job. I found a job and managed to start saving up for an apartment. Life was good. One night, I was laying in bed. I had rosary beads wrapped on the frame, along with some pictures on the actual mirror. The beads all fell off. All at once. This shit creeped me out. I got out of bed and fixed them. My fear for the mirror grew back. It wasn't much. It obviously didn't keep me from taking it down. Finally, August 2012 rolled around. I saved around $4,500 and moved out. I managed to move into an old factory that was renovated recently to apartments. The first night was beyond quiet. I slept alone on my mattress with a comforter. No TV like I was used to, no music, nothing. Just the sound of traffic passing. I made it through. A few days by myself and off of work, I put most everything up in my apartment. The only exclusions were decorations. This included my mirror. I have cable now, which lets me sleep better. I was still together with the girlfriend mentioned previously. She finally managed to move in and helped put up some of the decorations. Life was good again. December 22nd, 2012. I can remember the day so well, but I'll cut to what's important. My girlfriend was gone to see her family and I didn't get off work like she did, so she went solo to see her family. After all, I still lived near mine. I did pretty much what any guy did while alone. Eat, play video games, sleep, and repeat. I ended up drinking myself until I fell asleep. I didn't black out, but just fell asleep. Finally, 2:22 in the morning. Yes, trips. I woke up to the most annoying, obnoxious frequency possible. You know those dog whistles? That's what this was like, amplified. I looked over. The same exact second that I did, my mirror shattered. Small pieces of glass and my pictures littered the dresser below it. Finally, within probably 10 seconds, which felt much longer, the mirror fell with it. My dog started barking like crazy. That's when I knew something was really messed up. I could feel a presence around me, something I have never experienced. I went in my dresser and out of instinct grabbed my .32. I ran and huddled my dog. The silence stopped, but I could still feel an uneasy atmosphere. I can remember telling what I thought was a spirit to go away, that I didn't want to harm it and vice versa. Stuff you'd see in a scary movie. I opened a window after a few minutes and the presence started to leave. Shortly after, one of my neighbors from downstairs came and asked me if everything was okay. I told him that something fell and thanked him for his concern. I didn't get that much sleep that night, if any at all. The next morning, I threw my mirror out in the dumpster along with the glass shards I collected with a vacuum. My girlfriend asked where it went when she got back, and I told her it fell. I replaced the mirror with a painting that I had back at my parents'. I never told anyone about my incident. Within a few days, John went missing. They still haven't found him to this day.
We all had those moments. It's late at night, you look in a mirror and you get terrified.
That reminds me of when I was 9 years old. My parents placed a mirror in front of my bed. Whenever I'd wake up, it would be the first thing I saw. One night, I got spooked by the wind and woke up and saw the mirror. The room was dark, and of course it was hard to see except for the moonlight coming through the window. I saw the mirror, and there was nothing paranormal. I know it was just me, but it was just spooky to see me sitting there in the pitch black, looking straight at me, scared, defenseless. I truly felt scared, like my life was in danger. It took me an hour to get back to sleep huddled under my blanket. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was a giant gash in my mirror, like a massive diagonal crack with multiple branches that really distorted the mirror to the point I was looking at some sort of psychedelic hellish version of my room. I was terrified and told my mom and dad to move that broken mirror out of my room. And they did.
Just an experience I've always wanted to share. I've never green texted and I'm a shit storyteller, but hopefully someone enjoys it anyway. Moved into a new apartment with my dad when I was 13. Place always had bad vibes. Don't know how else to explain it. Always felt on edge there. Routinely felt like I was being watched while home alone. constantly checking over my shoulder. Place was always dead quiet. Never heard AC, neighbors, dogs, anything. Also, a gypsy family lived in the apartment next door, so that was a thing. My bedroom is small. The bed is right next to the closet. The closet is just a wall of sliding floor-length mirrors, taking up the length of one wall. TV is on the other side of the room, facing the bed. I've been living here for a few months now. Wake up in the middle of the night, almost 3 a.m. Dead quiet. The room is covered in blue light because I always fell asleep watching TV. Feel a strange compulsion to sit up instead of rolling over back to sleep. Sit up in bed. Immediately feel unsafe for some reason. Whole body is tensing up. Start to sweat. Feel compelled to look in the mirror. It's just me staring at myself. Anxiety sort of crescendos and then dies back down. Go back to sleep. Same week, different night. Wake up. Clock is almost at 3 a.m. again. Feel like someone is in the room with me. Even though I know it's stupid, I just have to check. I know I can't go back to sleep without checking. Sit up. Feels like eyes are on me. Almost physically feel it. Something is looking at me. Look in the mirror. Double take. Something is weird. Stare at the me in the mirror. Something is just off. Looks like me, but doesn't feel like me staring back. Same hair on end tense feeling as last time. Call myself a dumbass and go back to sleep. Next night, I wake up. No fucking way. Almost 3 a.m. again. TV is still on. Reluctant to sit up. Lay there trying to force myself to go back to sleep. Can't. Body's gone haywire. Feel a primal sense of danger. Don't know how else to explain it. Heartbeat starts picking up. Muscles tensing. Sit up in bed. Instinctually too afraid to turn to face the mirror. Stare at the mirror from the corner of my eye while facing forward. The mirror image doesn't look like me. Looks like someone has made a shitty wax statue in my likeness. Skin is waxy. Mouth goes too far back like a nutcracker. Don't know how else to explain it, just doesn't look natural. The difference actually shocks me so much that I turn to face the mirror even though I'm terrified staring straight at not me. Make eye contact and instantly freeze up. Realize somehow, deep in my bones, that I am not looking at me. Something else is looking at me. Overwhelming feeling of fear, knowing somehow that whatever it is wants to hurt me. Facial expression starts changing in the mirror while mine stays the same because I'm too terrified to move. Because I'm a chicken shit. I force myself to look away, go back to staring from the corner of my eye. The mirror image's head does not move with me. I start crying because I'm terrified and this thing is gonna hurt me. I know it. Mouth starts smiling, but the lips don't move vertically. They just pull farther back along the face. It moves its head like it's on an axis to face me completely. Shoulders and neck don't move along with the head. Suddenly realize it isn't a trick of the light because the glow from the TV is moving along the contours of Mirror Me's facial features, following the grooves of my face. Too afraid to open my mouth or move. Roll over as quickly as possible, curl into a ball. Stare at the opposite wall, shaking. Eventually pass out from exhaustion. For weeks after that, I couldn't look at the mirrors. Had to get dressed for school in the bathroom.
My wife goes ghost hunting all the time, and she has a paranormal investigation group that she goes with all the time. I'm a big skeptic, but one night recently I decided to go with them because I had fuck all to do that night. While I didn't necessarily have anything outright scary happen to me, I did get a bunch of creepy pictures, and I did have one minor thing to share. We all split up into separate rooms at one point, and I just sat in the dark for a long time. I don't believe in anything supernatural at all. I come to /x/ mostly for conspiracy theories, aliens, and cryptozoology, but there was something about this mirror that spooked me the shit out. I have no idea what it was. There were probably a dozen mirrors in the house, but this one in particular gave me the creeps. I kept feeling like it was looking at me or something, and every time I'd turn away from it, I would envision someone peeking around the edge of it. I didn't tell anyone until later, and I asked the owner of the building, and they said that the mirror wasn't originally in the house, that it was added within the past few years.
I've never liked mirrors. They've always unnerved me, more so recently than before. Over my bathroom sink hangs a mirror, and right behind me is a tiled wall with a body-length mirror, creating a crescendo of reflections. I've had hallucinations due to lack of sleep, but this was something else. In my hallucinations, things are usually just scrambled, pulsating, or just unclear, but this was irrefutable. What I saw in that mirror was real, not a figment of my imagination, nor my sleep-deprived brain. I distinctively saw a moving figure. At first it didn't move, so I just figured it was a shadow from the curtains or cloth racks in the bathroom. Then it moved, slowly at first, until it was entirely out of sight. I'm a skeptic at best, so I discarded this at first, but decided to do something about the hallucinations. Due to my lack of sleep, I went to a doctor. He rambled on about stress, too much late-night gaming, and whatnot. He eventually sent me on my way with a prescription for sleeping pills. Being the pedantic know-it-all I am, I read the warning slip inside the package. The side effects included nausea, headaches, depression, and hallucinations. Basically what I already struggle with on a daily basis, so I figured some sleep would be good for once. I went on about my day, worked, went home, had a few drinks, and went to bed after downing a sleeping pill. Yes, I realize mixing sleeping pills with alcohol isn't the brightest idea, but it was hardly the worst drug combination I've tried. I laid there writhing in my own sweat and thoughts as per usual. The pills didn't work. Big surprise. After an hour or so of this, nature was calling. I went to the bathroom, having forgotten all about the shadow in the mirror. Once again, like every other night, I couldn't sleep, so I went for a shower. Hot water calms me down, and I can more easily collect my thoughts. I took another drink and almost dozed off standing in the shower. That's the curse of insomnia. You're always tired, but you can never really sleep properly. After a few good minutes, I got out, and the mirrors were damp with steam. I cleaned them with my palm as I usually do, but it wouldn't clear up. I was dumbfounded. The mirror wouldn't clear up. The fog would not go away. I gave up and started drying myself off. I wasn't particularly startled, as the bathroom was quite warm and dense with water, but out of the corner of my eyes I saw the shadow again. Except this time, he wasn't in the mirror. It was moving along the floor, creeping from the drains in the shower towards the mirror. I freaked, but I didn't move a muscle. It was so bizarre. The shadow just oozed its way, originally without a particular shape, just a blob of darkness sliding across the tiles. I looked around me. I looked at the ceiling for an explanation. Nothing there. But as I looked at the body-length mirror on the wall, it was clear as crystal. Spotless. Except for a man standing there. It was me, only not me. Even the colors were off. They were a diffuse gray. My reflection didn't even move as I did. It just stood there, staring away like it was studying me, or waiting for a reaction. I started panting heavily, and hit myself in the head, trying to block this out. I thought I was going insane. Then it moved. With its head cocked to the side, it mouthed the words, "Can you see me?" The words somehow echoed in my head, even though no audible sound was heard. It amplified in my head, and this high-pitched screech emitted from the mirror. In a flash of panic, I closed my fist and rammed it towards the mirror, smashing it to 1,000 pieces. I cursed and screamed at the pain. Several splinters were in my hand, and one of them was stuck between my knuckles, bleeding profusely. I managed to calm down as the screeching subsided, right as the mirror shattered. But as it did, another sound came from behind me. "Don't ignore me. I know you can see me." I remembered the mirror over the sink. Without even looking, I closed my fist again and turned around as I smashed that too, with my already bloodied hand. I was near pissing myself. I stepped in tons of shards and was bleeding all over. Don't mix Ambien and spirits. I'm still messed up as hell after this, and I haven't dared use any type of pills afterwards. Now I just drink till I can't stand upright and fall over, hoping I won't meet me in my dreams as well.
Big old mirror in bedroom. My parents moved into this new house a few years ago, but I'm an adult and have never lived here before. I've always been uncomfortable in this house. It was built in the 70s when the community wasn't really formed yet. Apparently the old neighbor was just a woman and her special needs son. One day, she just left and sold the house through proxy because her son was given to another caretaker or something. It's like the old owner just disappeared and let someone else sell this house without even being involved in negotiations. None of the neighbors know anything about it because there was an hero 2 houses down, and the whole neighborhood just cleared out after that. Just a coincidence. The house my parents bought was really cheap too for its size. My parents joke about seeing a face in the window looking out at them when they pull up to the house and there's no one there. But I think that's just normal jokes everyone says about oldish houses. My parents sleep downstairs. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs at opposite ends of the hall and a connecting room for a work study. My brother sleeps on one side and uses the work study for his computer. There's a guest bedroom on the other side. I hate being upstairs, and I hate this guest bedroom. I can't sleep, and I constantly hear the house settling, but I only hear it from upstairs, and it's annoying. Don't even get me started about the upstairs hallway. Anyways, this is all normal shit to me that's easily explained. But the old lady left a lot of furniture behind, and my parents keep some of it in the guest bedroom, including the mirror in the picture I've posted. It's kinda in the corner, but I can see right into it from my bed. I've moved to the opposite corner of my bed, so I can't see myself in the mirror anymore. All night, I feel like someone else is staring at me in the mirror. I want to know if this is bad luck to sleep with a mirror facing you, or if I'm being ridiculous. It's probably all in my head.
/X/ I need your thoughts on this. This happened 4 months ago. Be me. I woke up in a terrible sleep paralysis. My whole body felt incredibly cold and numb for some reason. Then like a bolt of lightning strikes me. Felt a horrifyingly dread. Get a sudden urge to destroy our old 1-meter and half mirror that's sticking to the wall of our living room for some reason I do not know. Slowly got up and walked to the mirror. My mom saw me on the way, tells me I was making a loud grunt while sleeping like I'm struggling, and she's on her way to see what's going on. Told her I just have sleep paralysis. For some reason I can't recall any memory of what happened in it, just the sensation of lack of oxygen and pure anger. She listened. I continued to tell her that when I woke up from it, I had this urge, like a memory, command or something, embedded deep inside my mind, to destroy the mirror at all cost. Then I just realized I'm high, in adrenaline, like in a fight and flight mode. My mom looked worried when I finished the story. She asked me what I'm gonna do with the mirror. We slowly walk towards it. I look at it. I see my reflection. Nothing unusual. But out of sudden all the anger and hatred banished from my thoughts. It is replaced by, this mirror has been with us since I was an infant. It has sentimental value. Something like that. I was suddenly drained. Afterwards, I brush it off and continue my morning and eat breakfast. Now that I think of the situation back then, it utterly creeps me out how something unknowingly affected my thoughts. Like I was ready to rampage to nah, it's nothing burger. Until to this day, I rarely sat on the couch where the mirror could be seen, and seldomly used that old mirror. Does it have something inside of it? I don't know about you guys, but seeing my reflection in the mirror any longer is now creeping me out. Should I throw it?
Congrats, Anon, you are haunted by some demon. Getting emotionally charged is part of the Loosh production. This moment of your story I highlighted here is when your Loosh was eaten. I recommend removing the mirror out of the house and covering it firmly to see if that changes anything.
Get yourself 2 mirrors, preferably one big enough to see your whole body. Now, when you're doing this ritual, don't try to record evidence of it with some kind of device because it won't work. But you see, I can prove to you that this is real, because this ritual doesn't require much out of you. Put the 2 mirrors between you, facing each other so that they reflect off one another. Adjust the space between the 2 mirrors so you can see as many reflections as possible. Now stare at yourself through one of the mirrors, but don't smile. Just keep up a serious or a sad face. Eventually, after some staring, you will realize that one of your reflections will be smiling, but only moments after your realization, it will look just like a reflection of you. Now the ritual is done. Wherever you go, when you pass by a reflection of yourself, you will notice that your reflection will be smiling. If you're a quiet man like me, you'll dismiss it. But one day it will eventually break you apart and you will realize that there is nothing wrong with your reflection and that you are actually smiling. During the ritual, you brought something to our dimension and now it's with you forever. Whenever you see yourself in a reflection smiling for no reason whatsoever, don't be confused, it's just the man from the other dimension smiling at you.
My uncle purchased a mirror from a yard sale. When he brought it home, it was wrapped in a thick canvas sheet and a tightly pulled, thick green rope that encircled it several times. The mirror also came with a cross. A small cross that hung from a necklace that hung over the canvas and rope. My uncle had been instructed not to remove the cross. It was late in the night when my uncle woke me and my cousin. "Come see the man in the mirror," he told us. We went into the back dining room where the mirror had been propped up on the seat of a chair, the cross still hanging over the mirror. I looked and didn't see anything, but then I noticed something. A shadow moving inside the mirror. A man trying to look out at us. I was terrified, and so was my cousin. "See him?" my uncle asked. My cousin cried, and I tried to hide behind my uncle as the shape continued to move side to side, looking for something outside the mirror. My uncle had instructed us never to touch the mirror when he wasn't with us, and never to remove the cross. During the day, the mirror was kept covered with the canvas and rope, but sometimes at night my uncle would go into the back dining room and remove the cloth. I don't know what he ever did with it, but I have a memory of waking up and hearing him talking with it. It was well known to the family that my uncle collected strange things, and that many strange things happened at his house and on his property. This was the first of my experiences with the strange and unexplained. It wasn't my last.
I have been coming on /X/on and off for the past decade or so, and one thing that was always stated back in the days was a sort of urban legend. It was a simple rule. Don't look in the mirror during a lucid dream. Last night I tested that for the first time. You can believe me or not, I don't really give a damn. I am not out here trying to write creepypasta. I am just a confused guy experimenting with the occult who, like anyone studying a subject alone, makes constant progress and also constant mistakes. Last night I made a mistake. I was not even able to lucid dream up until a couple years ago, and even now the ability comes and goes. I stayed up late due to a switching work shift, and so my sleep schedule was all fucked up. That's when I sort of drifted off to sleep after meditating and listening to binaural beats. I felt very spiritual and at peace. Another side note, recently a common thread that seems to pop up in my research is that all this light work and spirituality is actually just another side of the demonic coin. That when you get involved with these spirit guides and entities, you are actually invoking demons. Well, also last night I should mention I consciously invoked a spirit guide for the first time. I did this by simply stating that I wanted their presence and allowed them into my life. I also think this may have been a mistake. Point being, here I was last night, passed out asleep and began to lucid dream. The dream changed into that I was lucid and also in front of a mirror. Lately, as I delve deeper into spirituality and the occult and also age into full adulthood, I should say that my general feelings of fear and anxiety dissolved, so that the sight of a mirror in my dream struck me not with fear but rather mild curiosity. Likewise, a mistake for fear can be a marker to be followed, not a barrier to be pushed through, just as the curious cat met its proverbial doom. I was treated to a brief glimpse of hell. When in my mild and scientific curiosity I turned the eyes of my lucid astral dream body to the mirror, I was struck with that all too familiar human sensation of, I fucked up really badly just now. I now had one of my strangest dream experiences that it felt borderline demonic, and here I recount it. I woke up as if I was in the traditional sleep paralysis. Nothing new to me here, unable to move, heavy breathing, trying to shout out but mouth zipped shut. However, I had fallen asleep under my blanket, and under the blanket here with me was a mirror, the same mirror from my dream. I was trapped under my blanket, unable to move or cry out, and stuck with a %100 realistic vivid version of a small frameless mirror directly in front of my face. The mirror reflected my obviously terrified face in %100 clarity. However, my lips were puffed up and blue like I had cyanosis, and my eyes were completely dead and white. I tried to close my eyes, but they felt like they were glued open and burning into the mirror. All I could do was writhe and shake in absolute terror as I watched the death mask of my reflection dangle before my eyes. Slowly and surely it all returned to reality, and I was left to sit and reflect on my mistakes as cold sweat dripped down my skin. What this all means I don't know, but needless to say it scared the shit out of me. I almost have like PTSD about going back to sleep, so I'm here at 3 a.m. rambling.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.